Howdy folks, welcome back to Medicine Creek. Whoa, slow down there, buddy. Wow, he is in a hurry. That's the Galt Co-op. That's the Galt Co-op fuel truck. And he just dropped off about 600 gallons of diesel here for us. And apparently he is in a hurry. Yeah, he's getting right on it. So I got started mowing. It's as you can see, it's day 6 here in autumn. I got started mowing. I did a pass around. I don't know, it's about a third or a fourth or so of the grass I've got here. But that's today's plan. I was looking at the forecast. It's supposed to be kind of cloudy and kind of iffy on the temperature. So I don't think we're going to get any hay made this fall. But what we can do is get this grass mowed and get it over there in the silage silo and start saving up some silage for when we get cows next year. So that's the plan for today. I'm going to go ahead and get this mowed. Now I want you to rotate the other way. There you go. So this little disc bind here is working great on the Ford. It's not super wide, but it doesn't take a ton of power. And once I've made the first little foray around, I don't have to run over any grass. Thought about getting some big mowers for the case, but it was looking at quite a bit of money. So I went the cheaper route. Let's slow this down a bit. Especially around this corner, it gets a little tight. Went the cheaper route and got this disc bind. So why am I cutting across the field, you ask? Well, that's actually the property line. I kind of surveyed it a bit and dug up a few patches here and there so I could tell where the property line was. So that is the property line. Cuts right straight through the field for some reason. So of course we don't want to get over on the neighbor. And it goes back in here a little bit. So I'll take you on a tour here of the field. Get a bird's eye view. So we're going to have quite a bit of grass over there. Not sure exactly how it's measured. Like I said I think I said in the first episode, I'm using a units convert mod. It does bushels and tons, gallons, stuff like that. But I don't know, it's kind of strange. I was doing a little bit of testing. I put a little bit of grass in the silage silo, and it said it was like 600 tons. No, that can't be right. So I'm not sure how the silo reports things. Maybe it meant pounds. I don't know. We'll get it figured out. Pulling this mower really makes the little Ford sing. Making it work hard. It's still got a decent amount of fuel in it from over in Montana. But now I think he ended up putting like 621 gallons in my fuel tank over there. You may notice I got another tank set up as well. That's going to be our liquid fertilizer and herbicide storage. It's empty. I haven't bought anything to put in it yet, but we've got the tank there ready to go. Speaking of tanks, I do have an order in for some tanks that go on the case. So when we're doing either herbicide or fertilizer spraying, we won't have to come back to the farm quite as much. Holds another, I think, 500 gallons or so of liquid in the side tanks. So those will hopefully be here. They're on back order. They should be here in a day or two. And what else we got going on? We got fuel. We got the tank in. Got the tractors bought over. I do need to get a pickup wagon. I think it's supposed to be down at the shop later this afternoon, maybe tomorrow morning, to get this grass picked up and put over in the silage silo. So this might be a multi-day episode. We'll see. I'm not going to have you sit through all this mowing, but we'll do a little bit together. Really wasn't sure what to do about the grass because I'm not a farmer, of course, but I grew up around farming. A lot of my family farms. I spent a decent amount of time with one of my cousins who runs cattle. Usually if I'm back up home around his area, I'll run around, do chores with him, stuff like that. And we just don't do TMR. I don't know anybody that does that kind of cattle feed. Maybe it happens in Missouri, I just haven't been around it. It's pretty much hay. So I thought about baling this, but we don't have the weather on our side. And that wouldn't get us where we need to be with the season's feeding. So we're going to go down the TMR route, put this in for some silage, and then hopefully next summer we'll get a cut in, get some hay. And then I also want to try out, this map supports both corn and beanstalk hay bales. Not hay bales, bales. Hay bales is a generic term, right? So, and those you can feed to your cows. We might experiment with that. I do want to get some corn put in next year, which means I'm eventually going to have to buy some more equipment, right? We need a planter. And we're going to need a combine next fall. So keeping my eye out for some good deals. Don't need anything huge. Can't afford anything huge. So we'll see. I've got my eye on a Kuhn. I think it's a 12-row planter. It's probably what I'll end up going with, but still doing some looking around. So I'll get us planted. And I've got an eye on a case disc, so we can get the soil cultivated and worked up. We'll see. Maybe the prices will get cheaper in the wintertime. Get out of here, birds. Coming through. We don't need any birds going through the New Holland here. So we got a Ford tractor pulling a New Holland disc vine. That's okay. We're gonna be a mixed farm here, like a lot of farmers. Sometimes it's nice to be brand loyal just for parts and maintenance, but beggars can't be choosers. There's just not a whole lot of U.S. farm equipment out there that's up to the quality I would like to have in my game. So we'll use what we can find. We're going to try to keep it mostly red. The exception of the little Ford here. I kind of like this little Ford tractor. This spine is nice because you can steer it. Well, speaking of tractors, you probably noticed both my tractors are two-wheel drive. And that's fine. And this Ford, right out of the box, it was actually two-wheel drive in the config. The case, on the other hand, was not. I had to go in and edit it and make it only two-wheel drive. It's a small thing. A lot of people probably don't care that the front wheels were pulling, but I care, so I went and changed it. So we've got two-wheel drive tractors. This is about 100 horsepower. Case is about 250. So we got plenty of power to get done what we need to get done. It's going to take a little longer on our big field 25, but that's okay. This play style I usually do, the 250 horsepower tractor, is huge. Alright, let's get this last little bit here. I could have went down and around the pond and everything, but I'm kind of trying to keep it simple here for this first cut this fall. Don't need to squeeze every single last inch out of it. Alright, one more pass mower. Got it made. Beautiful. Alright, how are we looking on time? Yeah, we're doing good on time. So tell you what, I'm gonna go mow the rest of this grass. And that'll take up probably an hour or two in game. And then I'm gonna go call the shop. See if my loading pickup wagon, whatever you want to call it, is in. And we'll get this raked and picked up. So I'm gonna do some work. I'll catch you all in a bit. Alright, I've been raking away. For y'all, it's been a nice little transition of about a second. For me, it's actually the next day here recording. But I worked well into the night and got this all cut. And then it didn't rain overnight. It is the next day here. You can see it's the 7th day. It didn't rain, but it keeps giving me wet crops. I don't know if that's because it's cloudy. It's trying to simulate humidity or something, moisture in the air. I don't know. It keeps flopping back and forth between wet crop and not wet crop. So the sun will come out and the wet crop will go away. But it hasn't rained. So anywho, we're trying to get this all raked up. I got a lot over here, you can see, mowed as well. And then I had to wait basically all morning. Here it is mid-afternoon. I had to wait all morning to get it dry enough with that heavy dew. But that gave me a chance to go down and pick up the loading wagon, which is sitting over there. Got to get the case refueled. And then we'll get this grass picked up, taken over to the silo. And it can sit there all winter and make some silage for me. Just about done here. And the little Ford's getting a little low on fuel as well. Using up a decent amount of fuel. I am using the fuel usage mod by, however you say it. I say Realism US. It's actually a German word, I think. The people that make seasons. However you say that name. They also have a fuel usage mod, which makes the fuel usage a little more realistic. Yeah, we'll get this last little bit here. I really like this rake. It's the in-game rake, but it looks like a rake I would see here in Missouri. So I'm going to get the rake put up, and we'll hop over there and get the case fueled up. So I'll be right back in a bit. Alright, I think I got my thumbnail. Hop in here. I think the tractor's done refueling. There we go. We're all full. So we got this Agrar loading wagon. I'm going to give that a whirl. This case really wants to get with it. You got to kind of watch it going slow. It wants to unleash all that power. Sounds mean. Alright, let's get turned around here, case. Preferably without rubbing the back tire on the loading wagon. Can I get in here and get this? Maybe. Figure out which SCV does what here. Alright, we got that lowered. Woo! Gonna sound a little weird with the way the sound is on this tractor. So we're picking up a little bit of grass and semi-dry grass. But once you pick it up, it's all grass anyway, so it doesn't really matter. So there we go, we just gotta drive around the field now. So I'm interested to see what the tonnage looks like when it's in the silo, because Before I put a little bit in there and it said like 386. So I'm thinking maybe that was supposed to be 0.386. I'm not really sure. This loading wagon tells us the tonnage, so we'll see what it looks like once it gets into the silo itself. I really like the sound of this case. It sounds like a tractor working. Puts out an obscene amount of black smoke. What's not to love? So come up on 70% full. I would guess we've got 5 or 6 wagon loads at least here cut. I've got a lot more grass that I could cut, but we're not going to cut it this fall. And we're getting into those really thick windrows. 90%. There we go. Pull up. Okie doke, we'll head over to the cow silo. See where we stand. So this says 9.46 tons. Now that's gotta be, it's gotta be metric tons, right? Or short tons? I'm not sure all the different, that can't be 2,000 pound tons, I wouldn't think. That'd be like 19,000 pounds worth of grass. That seems a little much. Try to use the cruise control to get a little more realistic drive in here. I think I've got the traffic still turned off. The traffic is just a little goofy until we get a patch. Probably be leaving it off most of the time. Turn on my flashers. There we go. Keep the dual off on the shoulder. And we should just have to back up to this auger, or this, I don't know if it's a blower. I guess it's a blower. A bit closer there. Yeah, we can do better. I know it'll unload, but it'll make me feel better. Whoa! Pushes that out in a hurry. Done some pretty good RPMs too. So yeah, I found this mod. It has just a lot of different options as far as brand names and whatnot. So I went with Agrar. It's got nice hose connections and everything. Alright. 9.46 tons, I believe. What does it say for our silo now? Thanks, autosave. 10 tons. Oh, that's total capacity. That's what I was looking at. I'm an idiot. That's total capacity. So yeah, it just rounds up to 10 tons. Gotcha. So it'll hold 193 tons of grass, which it will convert slowly into up to 386 tons of silage. All right. It's just going to slowly trickle in as it gets converted. Got it. Now we know. I was looking at the wrong number. No big surprise there. Yeah, look at the texture and the stuff on the road. Just the sunlight glinting off of it. I don't know if I've seen a better blacktop. This is what we call blacktop road around here. Usually because they'll put down gravel and then they'll throw tar over the top, or asphalt. I'm not sure the technical terms. It turns really black and then that gets worn down. You get this nice gray color like that. And it's all beat up, like you can see. So yeah, that's just a perfect texture for a little 2-lane county highway. There's a great mod, I can't remember the name of it, but you can use a joystick axis to control your speed. So you basically, you hook a joystick axis up to your cruise control. Works really well if you're using the wheel and stuff. Gotta remember where we left off. I'm going to kind of try to manage the speed with the cruise. It just gives a little smoother feel, and it's kind of more like how you would actually drive a tractor. I'm going to try not to zip all over the place like a Formula 1 race car. Not sure how many more years that old shed there's got in it. It's still fairly straight, believe it or not. Pretty amazing how some of those old barns hold up. We lived at a farm when I was a teenager for a few years. It was the first house in rural Adair County to have electricity. Not like an in-town house, but a rural house. It was outside of town, pretty close to it. That house was, oh, it was at least 100 years old back then. That thing was just solid as can be. You could tell a real craftsman built that thing. And then after we had sold it and moved away, somebody ended up buying that house because the city was wanting to expand there. Somebody bought that house and trucked it about a mile and a half down the highway further out of town and set it on a foundation and ended up adding onto it, making an even bigger house. It was one solid built house. But anyway, random story time with Kerbo as we fill up on grass. The house I did a lot of my growing up in was not quite in that good a shape. It might have been if somebody had taken care of it, but after we moved away, I don't think anybody lived there. It doesn't take long out in the wild, out in the country, to get full of coons and everything else and start ripping it apart. Then once you get a leak, you know, in the roof, it just kind of builds. So I doubt that house. I'm not sure if it's even there anymore. If it is, I doubt it's livable. But it was also pretty old. It had a really neat, like, sliding pocket door into what would have been the parlor way back in the day, back when people had parlors. Second load, 9.41 tons. It looks like I might have cut it a little short. Oh well. I know there's no traffic, but old habits die hard. So there you have it. We're going to pick up the rest of this grass. I'm going to put it in the silo. And then I might see if we can get some contracts in before the snow flies. My disc cultivator is supposed to be in any day. So we might get some fall disking contracts to do. We'll see. Not sure what next episode holds. We'll just kind of play it by ear. But I'm going to dump this out. Appreciate you hanging out on episode 3, I believe, of the adventure. I think this should be coming out Monday for you. Anywho, hope you had a great weekend, and I will catch you in the next episode. Take care.